Hi and welcome to Thriver TV, the place to break free from narcissistic abuse with quantum tools and understandings. So at the moment it's about 2 a.m. in the morning because I've been getting a lot of stuff done, and sometimes Thriver TV just has to happen at this time, especially because I'm working with renovations and other things during the day. But I'm really thrilled. I'm still wide awake, so it's all good. But I'm really thrilled to be able to bring to you this Thriver TV episode. And the reason is because a lot of people have asked about this one. And it's really true that there is a phenomenon in this community, which is that there are many, many light workers who have suffered narcissistic abuse at the hands of a narcissist. And you know, this has been a really weird thing for a lot of people because they wonder why that's happened. But what I mean by a light worker, it's somebody that's in a healing or a giving profession, and it's often somebody who's interested in Tiggy's running around crazy at the moment. He might turn up here. And it's somebody who's usually interested in spiritual and personal development, and also somebody who's a sensitive and a soulful type of person. So why does this happen? Well, at first blush, we could argue that it's because that this type of person has got a lot to give and a great deal of light, which narcissists want to take, and a lot of life force, which a narcissist desperately needs in order to believe that he or she exists and has significance. Yet, I believe that there's a bigger and deeper truth that's going on with all of this, and I'd love to share it with you. I believe that light workers have chosen at a very deep and a very spiritual soul level to help up-level their own consciousness first and foremost, but also the consciousness collectively for the planet. And when we're doing this, it is a humble journey, and I do say this humbly for all of us who are here transforming ourselves, who are deeply interested in that. And we're also very interested in trying to improve the state of consciousness of the human condition, and we want things to change for our future generations. We really want to break these cycles of abuse and abused. And there's a lot of spiritual people who feel this way. We do. We want peace. We want heaven on earth, and we want the craziness and the pain and the atrocities to end. And in fact, many of us from an early age, we really intuitively and instinctively, we looked around us and we're like, what are these crazy people doing? You know, why are they hurting themselves? Why are they hurting others so profoundly? And you know, what is this all about? Light workers are here to be light. We're here to embody it, and we're here to heal the darkness, which is the fear and the pain and the judgment and the separation from ourselves and from life and from others. And many light workers know instinctively that they have a deep calling within them. And many of you may already be on your Dharma, you're already on your path doing your life work, your unique contribution to humanity and the planet. And some of you may not be in your Dharma yet, and yet you really sense that you're here for something very meaningful for the collective, but you just haven't quite found it yet. And many of us as light workers have been very, very confused about what anchoring into and being the light really means. And many of us, it wasn't until we were narcissistically abused that we started to find out the truth of all of this, because what happened in narcissistic abuse was really quite profound. We were submerged into total darkness, and we had a desperate and an intense need to transmute, to free ourselves from the darkness that had got fully activated within our own being. And it was like a polluted psychic virus in our very fiber of every cell. You know, we had to detox that. We had to go on a profound detox of the darkness in our life. And that meant the eradication of the narcissist from every part of our being in order to get free. And we discovered profoundly through narcissistic abuse in this make or break experience that there is truly only one solution to escape the darkness of narcissistic abuse, and that's to replace the fear and the pain with love and healing. Because if we continue to hold on to blame and victimization and resentment, we don't heal. It's like that famous meme that if we take that poison every day and expect the other person to drop dead, it just doesn't happen. In fact, that's insanity. We're really profoundly hurting ourselves. Yet in stark contrast, if we take on the Thriver model and we do the work intensely in our own bodies to up-level and release all darkness and replace it with the light, we receive the most incredible acceleration of our own evolution that we thought possible. And if we want to get out of the pain and the obsession and the crippling hooks and the addiction to the narcissist, as well as our own chronic anxiety and depressions and feelings of powerlessness, we don't have any other option. The only other option is to stay in this diminished state, or rather, and this is the Thriver way, we can take on the radical personal responsibility of releasing trauma up and out of our bodies and bringing in the light to replace it, which is the source healing and resolution, which is our higher self, which is God or creation or life force or your superconscious, whatever you want to call it. But it's that ability to heal what our logical cognitive mind simply can't heal. And then one wound at a time, we heal. We become free of these wounds and we become free of narcissistic abuse and we become free of the narcissist. So is it any coincidence that the people who at soul level decide to come and help raise consciousness on the planet have had an experience of intense submerging into the bowels of hell, into incredible darkness, which is, you know, forced them to be, to personally embody and become light? I don't believe it is a coincidence. I really, you know, think that this was profoundly meant to be. And to fulfill the sole purpose of being a light worker is to walk into the only role that was ever going to fulfill us, which is becoming a light for self and others. And to do that, the darkness has got to go, which means the as yet unhealed wounds, the ways we were handing over power as a result of still carrying those genetic or those childhood wounds, our unfinished business, because that meant we were assigning false selves as our source. We didn't yet know how to be a whole source of love, approval, survival and security to ourselves. And that's really necessary if we're going to inspire others to be in the light also. You know, we inspire them by example. We have to be that source of light. And our tendency when we have got unhealed spaces within us is to roll around in other people's darkness, and we try to force them to be for us what we've not yet healed and become whole within ourselves. And of course, we did not know we were still in the darkness. This had been our normal. Our world had taught us to live from the outside in. Our role models hadn't necessarily parented us in ways that created our own wholeness. And we'd been brought up with conditional love, not knowing our inherent organic worth. And we were trying to source love and approval from outside of ourselves rather than being anchored in a healthy, self-loving, self-accepting, self-partnered relationship with ourselves, which meant we were precarious. We had fears. We did place conditions on ourselves for our own worth. And if we felt we weren't loved, accepted and validated by specific people, then we felt empty and we even felt worthless, whether we were light workers or not. And in fact, light workers generally have gone through profound periods in their life of deep anxiety and depression. And this is also perfect, because how on earth can light workers help the human condition of separation and pain with self and others unless they've lived it personally? which so many of us have. Lightworkers have needed this experience of how to heal within themselves to lead the way for others. So if you're listening to this and you're following my stuff, you know, there's a really big possibility that you're a light worker. Absolutely. And yes, narcissists do get with light workers often. In fact, light workers usually make great targets because often light workers are trying to do spirituality from a nice basis. They've believed other people will treat me the way that I treat them. And I had believed that for a long time before this journey. And it's a complete false premise, and it defies all quantum law. Quantum law is absolute. Quantum law is this: so within, so without. Quantum law recognizes that everything in your life is a hologram emanating from your own energetic creation from within. And therefore, as a light worker, or any person at all, light worker or not, people are going to treat you how you're treating yourself. And this is far from selfish. What it means is that we are constantly training people through our own ways of showing up. And Dr. Phil says this all the time. We're training people how to treat us. So we're training them in regard to what we are or aren't doing in the way we show up. So if we speak up, if we honor self, if we accept levels of love that match the levels of love and respect we have for ourselves, we're not going to be interested in narcissistic behavior and antics. It's actually going to be repulsive to us. It isn't a match. And we walk away and we do not play with it. And why would we bother when there are so many meaningful, full and productive exchanges to generate with all of life? We just wouldn't. So in stark contrast, until light workers become actualized and really anchor into their light, they can have a tendency to see a mess and try to heal it. And I used to do this all the time, because what I didn't realize at this point is, as a light worker, I had to heal something. And if I wasn't healing by releasing my own inner traumas, then I was trying to fix everything and everybody else. And it was that outside in model of, if I can fix you and heal you, then I can feel better. And again, this defied quantum law. So within, so without was not a match. Because by not healing my own generational and childhood traumas, how effective was I really to anybody else? I actually wasn't fixing them, and I certainly wasn't helping myself feel better as a result of my over-involvement with trying to sort them out. Like, it was just not lining up at all. It certainly wasn't. And I know that many of you, if you're really honest with yourself, you're going to relate to what I'm saying. But I want you to understand this. Please do not for 1 minute think that what I'm saying is that we need to be perfectly healed to help heal others. We don't. But what we do need to be doing is leading the way authentically by making it our first and foremost mission to be committed to really healing and working with ourselves. Because if we're not doing that, we are going to be doing the codependent thing of trying to get other people different so that we can feel better. And we need to understand that to be an effective healer to self and others, our most important mission is to be committed to releasing our own inner traumas, freeing ourselves from those, and then only helping people who ask for our help, the people that are going to come to us that are ready to heal. So not trying to drag people into the light who've got no inclination to seek it or stay on that path for real, which is, of course, what narcissists do. No one is going to be led to the light unless they personally seek it for themselves. So trying to force somebody to the light because we want them to do it for our own agenda, it never works. It never has worked, it never will work. When we really unconditionally love everybody, We allow them to choose their own life, and we set them free rather than trying to bend them to our will. And we stop purporting that we know what is right for them. And we stop playing out all of those conditional agendas of changing that person because we need them to provide us with our own happiness. We let them go and we take responsibility for our own happiness. And I can attest to the fact that there have been so many light workers, myself included, who used to play that stuff out. All of my relationships went like that. Light workers, before healing themselves and becoming a true source of light, tend to try to save narcissists. And we did it. We lectured, prescribe, we administer tools and techniques and advice, and we say, look, you need to read this book, I want you to go to this workshop, I want you to watch these videos. We do that all the time, and mostly completely unsolicited. The narcissist never asked for that stuff, and we didn't realize the absolute truth that all of this is wrong town. And our relationship with a narcissist is not about saving the narcissist. It is about the narcissist being in your experience to help you eradicate your fears and traumas, to release the darkness so that you can become a powerful force of light. And the more you try to control, force and prescribe, the more narcissistic supply you hand the narcissist, which is exactly what he or she requires to remain unconscious and be a narcissist. It's like, I'm getting my ego feed, I'm getting that attention, that confirms that I exist and I'm significant, so why would I stop being a narcissist? The narcissist could only heal if they chose to, and if they took responsibility for their side of the fence. And we can only heal and get better if we take responsibility for our side of the fence. So what is each side of the fence? What does that mean? What it means is the internal traumas that have been generating the behavior. And the narcissist behavior, their side of the fence, is all about that pathological, I'll get you before you can get me behaviors that were caused, and these were caused, these are wounds. The behavior is the symptom, the wound is the cause, and the wounds are generational and or childhood traumas of neglect and or violence. And these are traumas that left the narcissist feeling desperately unsafe enough to kill off his or her true self and assign a fictitious character in its place. So that's what's really going on. And our side of the fence is the unhealed traumas from our generational DNA and our childhood that cause us to stay attached and handing power and attention to someone who is treating us terribly, and keeping attached to them, trying to get them to change in order to grant us with love, approval, survival and security, rather than being a force and a source of that to ourselves. So is the narcissist going to clean up their side of the fence? If they're narcissistic personality disorder, no, they're not going to. But we can. And we can, when we do that, we're going to graduate. We are going to transcend the experience. The glue that was binding us together is going to be no more. We're not in the connection anymore, which means that we're no longer going to experience the anguish and the binds with that narcissist, and we're not going to fall into relationship with future ones. So as light workers, we are not here to be living these double lives of trying to be a light worker while we're rolling around in darkness. I remember years ago with narcissist number one, I used to, I'm a healer, and I'd be going home to the House of Dracula every night. Like, it just didn't match. And what happens is that darkness can consume us, it can take us out, it can destroy us. We're not here to be rolling around with it, trying to turn it into light. We are here to have the experience of transforming our own dark places and emerging from the experience as the radiant, non-conditional, truthful, authentic, self-actualized, full, empowered, loving being that we are when we're not wounded. And then rather than trying to fix everybody else, and especially narcissists, we're going to become a true force of light who by example shines a way for others to free themselves of their own wounds and reach their true self potential as well. But in no way do we have attachments to outcomes and conditions of who does or doesn't choose to do this with us. We're just happy to do it, and we're full anyway. And we can allow people to be whoever they choose to be, because now all we're choosing is this question: is this a match for my life and my own levels of love, approval, wholeness and respect for myself or not? And can I help up level it by being more of me or not? And if it's not, and it's not real for us, we leave it alone. And then we still connect with love and compassion and authenticity wherever we go, without fear and with love. We can be authentic and true to ourselves. And if what we're receiving or an environment we're in is not a fit for our true self, we remain whole and we move on, because we're already whole. We don't need it to be a certain way for it to make us whole. We're already whole. And what happens then is our life just gets less and less false, and it becomes more and more real. And I know personally for myself, I could never have, and I'm not completely unwounded, I never will be. And why would I want to be? Because I can keep up leveling and expanding into new trajectories as a result of healing and up leveling previous false beliefs and traumas. I love that. I never want that to stop. But what's happened is, as a result of narcissistic abuse, I've been able to become unwounded and authentic enough to be a light worker, which means that it doesn't matter who I do or don't touch. Just by being myself, I can help inspire other people to be free of their traumas as well. And I needed narcissistic abuse. I actually needed to stop making excuses. I've been making excuses all my life and not doing the work. I actually really didn't know what the true work was. I didn't know it was as simple as going to the traumas in your body and releasing them and replacing them, which is really all it is. I tried to do it every other way you could imagine. But narcissistic abuse led me to that direct path, because if I didn't release my darkness, I wasn't going to survive. And I know a lot of you in the community that have been doing the work with your traumas. I know it's been the same for you too. You know, I hear those reports all day, every day, is, you know, messages from people saying that, you know, it hasn't just changed their life, it's saved their life. So if you are still in the throes of narcissistic abuse and you really suspect that you're a light worker, I want you to know that I believe that the soul opportunity of narcissistic abuse is immense. And when we've had an experience like this, the level of breakdown is equal to the level of the breakthrough on the other side. And I promise you that I've lived it personally. And I've seen thousands of people live it. If we go for it and if we heal for real, which is what every light worker is here to do. So I really hope that's helped you understand what's going on with light workers and narcissists. And I'd love you to join me for the conversation on the blog, and you can do that at blog.melanietoniaevans.com. And I think we're going to have a really riveting discussion there, which will be absolutely wonderful. And to sign off, you know what to do, because there's nothing else to do. We need to keep healing and keep smiling and keep thriving, because Tiggy, isn't that right? There is nothing else to do. So lots of love to the next episode. Bye-bye.